It's a lovely Saturday here in the Denver area of Colorado, and we've had just enough snow recently, and just enough. Well, Thanksgiving was here, some Christmas stuff is beginning to happen, so I wanted to talk about my memories of Christmas caroling. It was a cold Montana winter night. It was below freezing, and we had a lot of snow on the roads, and we had several wagons, and I remember doing this several times, so my memories get all mixed up together to each other. All right, but we were piled on wagons, and we were driving along, riding along, and one time we used a tractor, one time we used horses. Uh, but this is the part I remember where we're going down along West Kootenai Road, and we'd stop every so often. We would all pile off, and we would run in to a house, and the question was, are they home? Are they home? And we'd see a little light shining through one of the windows. We'd gather around the front door. Someone would knock, and then as soon as the door started opening, joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. We'd start singing, and all of us would sing. We would sing multiple songs, and then Merry Christmas, and we would run back out to the wagon. Somebody would take cookies or something up and give it to the people in the house. We'd get back on the wagon, and we'd head down the road to the next house. And after we would be done, we would end up at someone's house, and there'd be hot chocolate and warm chili and lots of excited conversations, and good fellowship would be happening. That's my memory of Christmas caroling. And then later, being down in Texas, we wanted to go Christmas caroling, and so we would go Christmas caroling. But I just remember the very first time going Christmas caroling, and it was like almost not cold enough to even need a coat, and it felt like there were brown leaves still on the trees. The grass was still green. It was so different. And yet, over the years that I lived in Texas, we did a lot of Christmas caroling. We would go up, someone would knock on the door. Usually in Texas, instead of all being on one wagon, we would carpool, have several cars, a caravan of cars going, and we would head over, and we would end up, everyone would pile out, and then everyone would be piling out, and we would run up, someone would knock on the door, we'd start singing. And in Texas especially, and even maybe in my earlier memories, we always sang, we would always do Christmas carols starting with joy to the world, and then we'd always end with, we wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And so that's my memory of Christmas caroling, most of that. Good morning, Daniel. So as we were coming up to Thanksgiving this year, because of some of the projects and research we're doing and working on, I've been thinking about Christmas a lot earlier than I normally might be. And I've been reminded a lot. A couple of years ago, we did a lot of research on We Three Kings, because we made the movie We Three Kings. And in that, what I remember out of that, because we were working with We Three Kings in June, and so we were singing Christmas songs in June. We were working that whole time on Christmas things, right? And so it always feels a little bit odd for me. I personally am usually a very strong stickler that there are no Christmas decorations, nothing like that until after Thanksgiving. Now, growing up, that's what our family did, and so I would usually wrap a gift and get it ready so that Thanksgiving, right after the clock struck midnight, I would put a gift out wherever we were keeping our gifts that year, and I'd be the first person with a Christmas gift out. Well, this year, I was sitting in here, we'd had Thanksgiving, our guests had gone home, and I was sitting down here in my office and just looking at the day, thinking through what needed to happen next. And suddenly William comes running in here. It's after 10 at night. He comes running in here and says, Papa, I need some help. And so I say, okay, what do you need help with? He says, over here quickly. So I follow him, and he had wrapped his presents, but he had put them up on a shelf waiting. So he had wrapped presents for all of his siblings. And he said, I need a light on in here, and I need help to take these presents up. Oh, here's Miss Corey. And so I helped William, and he said, I need to take these upstairs. And so he was getting ready to go to bed. So the last thing he did before going to bed on Thanksgiving Day was he was taking his Christmas presents up. So I help him carry them up. We go put them up under the tree there, and he says, whew, I'm second place. So one of his brothers had beat him and put one Christmas present out already, or already put their Christmas presents out, but he wanted to be second place. So I helped him. And I remembered how hard I used to work to be the first person to get a Christmas present out. And sometimes I would actually sort of break the rules by putting a Christmas present out before Thanksgiving, but not necessarily calling it that. Just, wrapping a little bit of something and just putting it up there and hoping no one would really notice until after the fact, and then they would realize that I had won. So that's the kind of brother I was. So anyhow, but because we've been doing a little bit of work with one of the projects we're doing this year, we're talking about the film, the song We Three Kings some more. So because of that, we needed to have some Christmas decorations in our house to be backdrops for the film project. So we actually have had a Christmas tree and some Christmas lights up for weeks at our house at this point, because we were using it for the documentary. So normally I would call that absolute heresy, but today, because of the project we were working on, I needed it, so we did it early. What you doing, Corey?
Have a thing.
You have a thing? A ribbon?
I go on a trip.
You go on a trip with your puppy dog? Were you walking your dog with that string? Yeah? So, did you like going Christmas caroling last night?
Yes.
Yes. What did you have when we went Christmas caroling?
And have a candle.
Yeah, you had a candle. So for the film project we're working on, we needed to take some children Christmas caroling. And so everyone got a candle. And nobody got burnt, but several candles did burn up all the way and start the paper on fire that was protecting their hands, right? Yeah, that was exciting.
I take out and some did on my finger.
Oh, did some candle wax get on your finger?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, was that hot?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then I did it out really brave.
Oh, you got it off really brave? Good job. Good job, baby. Corey is 3 years old now, and she is living life to the fullest, doing many things, including going Christmas caroling last night for us with the film project. So this morning, as I was just looking at the weeks ahead between now and the end of the year and everything that I still have to do, I wanted to share a coffee talk, since I've been missing in action since the beginning of November. And that's usually a good sign, because I have a lot of life happening and good stuff happening. Yes, Corey? What are you doing? Are you ready to go back upstairs? What did you come down for? Okay. You want to run back up where Mama is? Or are you going to hang out with Papa? You want to hang out with Papa? Okay. Yeah. So usually when I'm not on here, it just means that I'm living so much life that I'm just not finding the time to get on here. So what I wanted to share today about Christmas caroling, I was thinking about it, because in the context of things, this year I'm 44 years old. I'm about to turn 45 in February. And so in some ways, I would have called this being middle-aged, and then I started realizing that life expectancy-wise, I'm probably past middle age. And so what I have gotten to live and to experience and to do these past 20-something years, I'm really blessed, and I'm so grateful for so much. We have a gratefulness pumpkin upstairs. So one of the pumpkins that we grew in our garden, we just have it on a table. And so I got this from my sister. I think other people do it as well. But we just started writing around on the pumpkin in a big spiral, things that we're thankful for. And so as I was looking at the things I'm thankful for, it's things like Corey Elizabeth here, and my siblings, and her siblings. And so I am so grateful for what I've gotten to do and to live and to experience these past, this first 40 something years of my life. And so then as I look ahead, like what's important, what's worth living for, where do I want to spend my time over the next 40 years? You ready to go upstairs now? Corey wants to go upstairs. You want to say bye-bye to everyone? You can say bye-bye. Bye-bye. All right, there you go. So what are the things that are most important? So I look back at my own memories, and what it amounts to in my worldview and my perspective is that I want to live for the kingdom. And the kingdom is not just me and God on a personal level, but it's me and the people of God, me, and God loves all the people of the world. And so in some meaningful way that I connect with people, that's kingdom. And so I want to protect that. And I'm very introspective by personality, and so I'm always looking inside, I'm always looking ahead, I'm always trying to figure out what things mean, why do the things happen to me that happen, so on. And so as a result, sometimes I've walked through darker times than necessary. Like if I hadn't been so introspective and trying to figure it all out, it wouldn't have felt so dark. But because I was trying to understand it, sometimes it goes darker than necessary. At least that's what my wife will tell me. And she has a very good outlook on life consistently. And so with my own life, what I want to do is I want to connect with people in meaningful ways, and I want to have life experiences that in the future, because I look back at the life experiences I had, sometimes people sat down and were talking with me one-on-one, and those were like little nudges toward God, the little signposts that pointed toward God. But other times, like the times that I remember Christmas caroling, I don't remember who headed up those Christmas caroling nights out on the West Kootenai of Montana. I sort of think I did it with Kootenai Christian Fellowship and the young people from there, mostly. I might have done it one year sort with the Amish group. I am not positive. And so it's interesting, many things I remember clearly, but that I remember doing it. I remember the moonlight shining through the trees, how bright everything was. I remember being there with my friends. And so the problem is some of my same friends were both with us when we were Amish and as we went to Kootenai Christian. So I transitioned with my friends. So that doesn't help me to know which friends were there necessarily. I just know we did it. And being there in the night with all these other people, we would walk up, we would sing. I remember our breath would make the little clouds in the air because it was so cold. And it was a great memory. And there were a lot of people on that wagon that were caroling with us that I didn't talk with that night. And maybe even in my life, I never talked much with them at all. And yet our shared experience that night was such that in my life, it was a fond memory, but also it cultivated a sense of longing for the eternal fellowship that we have, that we're looking forward to, where we spend time with people and we're together, united, shared cause, shared purpose. And it's something that we get to taste here on earth. But often here on earth, when we have that unity and shared purpose, what happens is there's always something somewhere that's not quite fully joyful. It's like that verse in Psalm 16:11 where it says, "You will show me the path of life. In your presence is fullness of joy. At your right hand are pleasures evermore." Here on earth, we get some joy. But there's coming a day when we'll experience fullness of joy. Because here on earth, like, while I'm rejoicing right here, I can be rejoicing, I'm keenly aware that over here, not so far away, there's a family that has estranged members where they're not speaking to one another. Over here, a family that has recently lost a loved one, constantly. So at every point in my life, even if I am experiencing extreme joy in one area, there's always an awareness of something sad or something broken or something not right somewhere around me, and somebody's suffering with something. And so the fullness of joy is what I'm looking forward to, what I'm hoping for. But until then, what I'm looking for and enjoying and experiencing is those tastes, the little bits and pieces here where I'm with other people, the fellowship with other believers, the shared life experiences, and it's little tastes of what fullness of joy will be like. And so for me, coming up on Christmas caroling, both the times when I was leading out and making it happen and the times when I was just along for the ride, I remember them fondly. They were good times. And, the times in Montana, it was the cold winter air. We'd be bundled up to the nth degree. And in Texas, we would hope it would be cold enough that we could at least wear a pretty sweater or something that would look kind of Christmassy. And then off we would go. And I just remember the humid night air of a Texas Christmas caroling trip. Many times it was a humid night air. And so Christmas caroling is one of those things. And then I went further and started thinking about the words that we sing and how many times, what's in a song, what's in a carol, what's in a hymn. And this is where I started thinking about what this is a book about a champion of the cross. It's the book about John Henry Hopkins, the guy who wrote We Three Kings. And so he has a quote in here because he wrote extensively in the church journal back in the mid 1800s. And he's saying this, this is a quote from him, which in the movie we have him saying stuff because of the book and the quotes we found of him. We have them having big debates on why write new songs if the old songs are sufficient? Why make new music if the old music is sufficient? And his argument in the end is that the old music is great, but new music is good too. And that he actually has another quote over here, is that singing unto the Lord a new song is a loving duty of perpetual obligation. Every generation of Christian feels the impulse and ought in some measure to obey it. And so he's saying, yes, we have these awesome old hymns, but we should also have new songs. And so this is 1850s that he's saying these things. It's awesome to think about it from, or maybe it's 1860s by then. But then he has this quote in here. He who furnishes one good hymn as a permanent part of the devotions of the church has done more than he who publishes several volumes of sermons. And so this a pretty big claim, is to say that if somebody writes a song, a Christian song with the theology in the Christian song, that becomes a permanent part of the church in our annual calendars, that is worth more than volumes of sermons. This is a book right here. It's Wesley's Sermons. It's volume 3. There's a whole bunch in a row here. This was one that was published in 1883. 4 volumes of Wesley's sermons, and somebody, they worked through it. They got all of these sermons down, and it's pretty cool that I can go back and read. Cool seems like the wrong word, but that I can go back and read John Wesley's sermons. I also have multiple other people's sermons on the bookshelves behind me. I have, Charles Spurgeon's sermons. I have some D.L. Moody sermons. You go back further, I have some sermons over here. I have some sermons that were written out in German from people that nobody even really knows who they are anymore. They were somebody back 500, 600 years ago. And so I have some in German, I have some here in English. And so these are truths. And when you read through here and you realize what John Wesley is preaching about, what he's saying, these are powerful truths. But to John Henry Hopkins' point, if I write a song and it has good music to it, and I teach it to you and it becomes part of your life, we've noticed it in our, in our family, is Our boys can often hear a song one time, and later they'll be here and they'll be singing the words and the tune, and they'll remember it because there's just something about words being set to music. And so the power of, say, Christmas caroling or singing together, it's very powerful because when we sing those words, it stays in our minds for a long time. So I tend to agree with John Henry Hopkins that if you write a song, and so for instance, the fact that every year at Christmas time we still talk about the gold, the frankincense, the myrrh, and that because of the We Three Kings of Orient Are, the song that he wrote in 1857, finally published it in a book in 1872. That, which by the way makes it one of the earliest Christmas carols. I think the earliest Christmas carol that for the United States that was written and performed here. I Heard the Bells on Christmas Day was written during the Civil War, so about 5 years later, and I'm not sure which one was published first. But we had before then quite a few songs, and I might be wrong. We've been looking to try to see, is there any other Christmas carol that was written here in the United States that makes it the first Christmas carol? But we think We Three Kings might be the first Christmas carol. And so, not that it matters that much, it's just a point of interest for me to know, is this the first Christmas carol? So, when I think of caroling and those memories there, I know that we sang a lot of songs. It Came Upon a Midnight Clear, Hark the Herald Angels Sing, Glory in Excelsis Deo. We sang so many different songs when we go Christmas caroling. And as we sang those songs, they became a part of who I am. And they started to inform and direct me in my Christian walk. And so it's true, I think, that if you have a song, the amount of impact that a song can have. And so, of course, on the flip side, you have to give a little bit of a warning. Say, so be careful what music you listen to. And yes, I agree. But on the positive side, this is a really good reason why to go ahead and break out either the hymn books during the holidays and sing some old songs with your family, so that the next generation has at least heard and learned them. This is a good reason why we get together, like on worship nights and other times, and we sing songs together. And it's a good reason why we do things like Christmas caroling, where we tie, now not only do we have music and words, but now we have an activity and a memory all tied together. And so it's a beautiful thing that we can give to the generations. Corey, right now, remembers the candle that she was holding last night. But I was watching her, and she was singing the words to We Three Kings. Singing, mouthing along and singing a little. Those words are being built into her outlook on life. So that's my memory and just what I wanted to share with. I'm grateful for so many things this Thanksgiving, but I'm really grateful for memories of the past and for the opportunity to fellowship and be with people in the current. Hi, Joe. Thanks for joining today. And so that was really all I wanted to share this morning. I didn't have a lot more than that, so I brought you my 2 books. And I think, let's see when this book was actually printed. So this is the book about John Henry Hopkins, the man who wrote the song We Three Kings. And so this was published in 1894. And so the book of Wesley's sermons that I have here was published in 1882, 83? 1883. The fact that we can have old books is such a blessing to me. I love books, and so I love having the old ones, especially when there's little notations, or in the case of one of the books I have over there, I'd owned it for several days, and one day as I was flipping through it, I discovered the author signed it. It's awesome. So anyway, it's worth making memories with people. And one of the real losses that comes when we try to control outcomes of relationships and people and become super controlling, and this happens a lot around holidays, where for whatever reason the brokenness that within is trying to come out and break other people as well. And if we can just let go of all that and meet people on face value, and sometimes you need to apologize and go reconcile with other people just to restore relationship. It's worth restoring relationship. I know it's hard. And I know it's difficult to humble ourselves and say, I was wrong. But, and sometimes we have said it and the other person never does admit that they did anything wrong. And that's hard to love someone through that. But we're only here for a little while. And right now the world is very, very eager to tell you the best thing you can do is cut people off and not have that negativity in your life. But I want to say that maybe some of the best things that can happen is when a child of God decides that, you know what, with the power of Christ, I'm going to persevere. And instead of just cutting these people off, I'm going to see if the grace of God flowing through me can help with these extended family problems that we're having, or if there's any way to bring some of God's grace in here. So when I think of Christmases and Thanksgivings and families and singing together, if you've ever had two people in the same room who always want to start the song and they choose vastly different keys to start them in, you understand this is a simile or picture of life. We don't automatically agree with each other on everything, and we need to learn how to come together and who gets to lead in different times, different places. Anyway, I'm rambling now. What I wanted to encourage you is count the cost. The cost of not being in a relationship, I think, is greater for eternity than the temporary pain of working through a relationship. And so maybe pray and ask God, how can we restore a relationship so that we can be creating continually relationships and fellowship and memories for eternity. All of that is assuming that you've surrendered your life to Christ and that you're walking with the Lord. Apart from that, if you're not doing that, then I don't have much to say. So, memories of Christmas caroling. Mine are from Montana and Texas, and now slowly here in Colorado some more. What are yours? Where have you gone Christmas caroling? Has anyone gone Christmas caroling in Hawaii on the beach? Stuff like that? Let me know. I'm going to sign off, but thanks for joining me today. Love you guys, and I'm looking forward to this season, spending time with my family. We will see you. I'll see you next time.